Hello YouTubers, my name's Leroy, and today hoping to share a bit about the chicken coop I've been working on. I don't consider myself an expert on chickens or chicken coops for that matter, but just thought perhaps my experience would give a few of you some ideas, just like many other videos on this YouTube have helped me get some ideas about what to do. But I currently have 6 ISA Browns, and those are 6-linked egg-laying production breed, and they've been great for the family. The kids love them. I've got 2 7-year-old twin boys who spend the most time out here picking them up and patting them and harassing them in other ways, but they've always been friendly and make a lot of eggs. So from the 6 chickens I get 5 to 6 eggs a day, so can't complain about that. And they're a lot oranger than the store-bought eggs, and the shells don't break up when you boil them up, so I don't know if they're better eggs or more nutritious, but at least I know the chickens have been happy making them here in the backyard. So without further ado, let me take you over to the coop. So this coop, they have a separate run which is quite large. I can make another video if people are interested in learning about how I built that and why I built it the way I did. But this is the old coop that I picked up on clearance at the beginning of the season from a farming store. I live in Utah currently, and this coop cost me $120. And unless you really want to build a coop or wanting a deep litter system, it's probably way cheaper just to get a coop like that. And it's been fine, but I think probably its life expectancy, I mean, it's looking a bit worn down just after half a season here. So I put an extra base on it that's got wheels, as you can see. Move it around a bit. Used to have it on the grass, but this is the coop I built. It's got the shingle roof. There's plenty of videos about how to do a shingle roof, but this is the front of the coop, and coming over to the side there's a window, and I'll go through all these in a bit more detail. It's got these double doors on the front, and it's the inside of the coop. You just unlock that. Okay, here we go. So this is the inside of the coop. This front panel down the bottom here drops out, so that if I ever, at the point when I need to clean out the coop, I can just rake it out and into wheelbarrow that I can put down the bottom here. So that'll be great. Now inside the coop, the floor itself is made of melamine, which is a waterproof kind of thing, kind of like Formica, but probably not as good as that. But over there's a little hole where they come in, right there, and that's the end panel to the coop. It's actually the interior wall, because there's another panel on the other side of that, and I'll explain that in just a second. Up here's a light, and these are the roosting bars, obviously. And the depth of litter for this coop, like the door hole itself there, is probably 8 or 9 inches above the ground, but this wall on the outside is 12 inches, so the litter will be between 12 inches and kind of going down to 8 in that corner, but that'll be fine. Roughly about 12 all the way across. And the front here, you see these supports are for the nesting box. And the bulk of the coop here, as you can see, the framing is 2x2, and this is treated 2x2, but that's totally unnecessary. You could just use regular 2x2s, or even cut down a 2x4 into 2. That would have been the best way to do it probably, but Those are 2x2s, and the sheeting on the side is just some cheap half-inch plywood on the back there too. Here's the window, and as you can see, I've put some wire mesh kind of stuff, fencing, just kind of screwed that on there. I don't know if you can see that here, to the outside, so that the chickens don't fly through the glass, because just like most birds, they're not that smart when it comes to glass, and want them to be safe and sound. So I'll just, here's the okay, here's the nesting box. I'll put it in. So here's the coop. Here's the nesting box in the coop, and the front of the nesting box, you probably can't see it that well, but this lip here, I've shaved down this inside panel so that the lip itself is quite narrow. It's maybe a couple of mil there, and the point of that is I don't want the chickens really roosting on the edge of the nesting box, because they'll just mess it up with their droppings all over the place, as they do. So that's the point of that, and I'll see how that goes. But this will all be filled with probably pine shavings. It's the cheapest thing to get around here. So as you can see, it's got this two-door system here. You could probably get away with one if you wanted to. I originally was going to do 2 equal sized doors, but then I thought, you know, coming out here middle of winter, just want to have to open one door. I can see the whole nesting box, grab the eggs, the kids can grab the eggs, and not have to worry about opening up 2 doors. So this this latches at the top there, and this door here latches to the frame at the bottom and at the top corner at the back here. Just like that. So there's ventilation up there. I read a lot of videos, watched a lot of videos I should say, and kind of a common theme was to make sure you got good ventilation. So here's the window. I made this window myself out of some scrap 3/4 inch plywood. I don't know if you can see that there. And the way it's designed, so it's just a box basically of the 3/4 inch plywood to the size of the window that I wanted, and this you can just buy this stock glass. I still got the tag on it, 12 by 36 inches, and so that's the size of the box. And then I cut this trim here out of 2x4, just ripped it on the table saw, and I set it up so it was a 1/2 inch overlay on this side and the rest come on this side. And the point of that was the glass is held in there by these let me see, here we go, these 1/2 inch plywood strips which are just screwed into the frame, the 3/4 inch frame. And so if there's ever a breakage, just unscrew those and unscrew the center bar, which is also just held in but there by screws, and I can replace the window. And so during the winter I'll have that latched down like that, and during the summer I'll probably prop it open, and so that they can have a nice ventilation coming through the coop in the evenings. Just coming to the other side here. Up there, this is the back of the coop. Eventually I'll paint these inside panels and just have the trim white, maybe do some polka dots or some other colour for the outside. I don't know what the girls are going to like, but you know, I grew up in New Zealand and we had chickens, and my father got us chickens, and that you don't really need electricity over in New Zealand, but here, because it gets so cold, I needed electricity for two reasons. One is to give them sufficient light during the day to increase their laying, and there's pros and cons to that. But the other thing is, you know, these water containers. There's a couple of them here, and they will freeze if they don't have some kind of heating. And so I'm happy to do a video about, you know, my feeding system, which I only have to worry about topping up this water or that feed once every few weeks. So I mean, that's really nice. I can, if I have to go on holiday, just have someone come collect eggs, or if they want them, and they don't have to do anything else. So it's a nice low maintenance system. So this is the this is a door on this side. So there's three walls. There's this end wall here, there's this wall to the actual coop, and there's a big hole in the floor here where the chickens climb up this ladder and onto this platform here, and then they can go into the coop there. Now I did it this way because I didn't want wind just blowing straight into the hole where the coop is, and also I'm trying to get away with not having to come out here every night to shut the door, or, you know, to close the coop up. So I figured they probably survive pretty well as long as it's not drafty, and the research that I looked into said that, you know, it's best not to heat the coop, because then they don't really develop their winter feathering properly, but just make sure it's free of major drafts and well ventilated. So those are the two things I've prioritized. So the ventilation is good, like air comes straight up through the bottom there. There's a shelf here, and at the top there there's a hole, and so I figure air can circulate in through there and then through the vents in the front. And so that's basically it. This is the split door system that I designed, which I figure should help the chickens, gathering the eggs of the chickens, you know.